ambitions, but it could possibly clip their wings. Why? Well, without Washington's goodwill, the EV tax credits, the regulatory shields, and diplomatic back channels Musk once enjoyed, there could be now more uncertainty, and that is where countries like India will have to be very wary. But also, viewers, there's another important aspect. World's most powerful man and the world's richest man, when they brawl, there are major impacts. Whether it's the markets, whether it's the regulators, whether it's global plans, all hang by a thread. Before we move any forward, I want to play out just exactly how this descended. Listen into President Trump.
A lot of good things are happening in this room, and I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us, and then at some point they miss it so badly, and some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it, but we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone, the whole world is different, and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know.
So what's this saga really all about? How did the face-off really begin, and how did it so quickly descend into discovering a new nadir between the two billionaires? This report has all the answers for you.
The inevitable has finally happened. The unlikely alliance of billionaires US President Donald Trump and Tesla chief Elon Musk has crashed and burned, leaving behind a messy public feud filled with personal attacks and accusations. Shortly after leaving the Department of Government Efficiency after a scheduled tenure ended, Musk began lobbying against Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, calling the bill, which was passed by the US House last month and is awaiting a vote in the Senate, a disgusting abomination, even pushing to kill the bill. For a while, President Trump remained silent, until he didn't. Defending the bill, Trump attacked Musk, suggesting that the Tesla chief's disapproval of the bill was triggered by the removal of subsidies and mandates for electric vehicles, saying that Musk has Trump derangement syndrome.
But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others, too.
In a flurry of posts on X, Musk took credit for Trump's sweeping victory in last November's elections, and even suggested that the president appears in the unreleased Jeffrey Epstein files and called for his impeachment. But the feud has come at a cost, a big one especially for Musk, as the US president threatened to pull Musk's government subsidies and contracts, the lifeblood of the SpaceX program. Tesla's stock price took an immediate hit, wiping out a whopping $150 billion from Tesla's market cap. While reports suggest that the two may have cooled down temporarily, the uncertainty remains. After all, both men are mercurial and are not known to hold back when cornered. Nisha Biswal for NDTV World.
Washington, D.C. corridors are filled with the kind of uncertainty in the air. And what does this mean for India? Bill Drexel, who joins us, is with the Hudson Institute, and he will decode for us what does this really mean. Bill, now explain to us that this was about the big, beautiful bill, but is there more to it that nobody's been able to see so far?
Great question. I mean, I think that, a lot of people saw this coming. So yes, on the surface, it's about the big, beautiful bill. But more broadly, I think we can say, particularly given the extraordinary intensity of the rupture, that this is also about two very large egos coming into conflict. It seems like, friction had been mounting for some time. But it is true that one of his primary interests in government seems to have been a greater sense of fiscal responsibility and efficiency. So things seem to have reached a breaking point, and as is so often the case with this administration, uh, it's been colorful to say the least.
Indeed, that's a very articulate way of putting it, Bill. But the point is that what is the kind of impact that we are talking about, especially when it comes to Musk's business empire, the exposure that he has to government contracts, government subsidies? How is that likely to be assessed going forward?
Absolutely. This will have really wide-ranging impacts in politics and in business. There's no doubt. I think before we can really speculate on what those impacts will be, we have to at least say that this story is still developing, right? So, both of these characters have really, they make big moves often. So I'm not sure that this story is over, but there's no doubt that many of Musk's enterprises are deeply intertwined with government funding. There are billions on the line in terms of government contracts, especially SpaceX. And as we saw on Twitter, he threatened to kind of take down a service that SpaceX was providing that actually was really important to NASA. So there are mutual dependencies here that may get renegotiated, but there's no doubt that Musk's companies will be impacted, particularly in their government work. At the same time, Musk's companies were already being impacted by his association with Trump. So I think we'll also see some rebalancing in multiple directions. On the flip side, Musk was the largest donor to Trump's campaign. He gave an incredible amount, and the tech bro MAGA alliance that has really driven a lot of this administration could, if not unravel, at least transform considerably. And what that will mean in terms of policy, not just for technology, but more broadly, remains to be seen.
Bill, the other question that comes to mind, and that's very important, is that Starlink has been given some sort of a green signal by Indian regulatory authorities. Do you think that is likely to be impacted in the wake of the Trump administration's decisions and equation with Elon Musk?
It's a great question, and as I say, I think if we come to too many conclusions right now, we may regret it because the story is still developing. But broadly speaking, I think we can say Starlink is a massive company, and yes, government contracts are a major, important part of its business, but it also has a lot of other things going on, and is growing and is ahead of the competition. It has unique advantages. So I think at the end of the day, while there's definitely uncertainty about how Starlink's kind of business model and SpaceX's business models may evolve in the wake of this kind of major rupture, I think the best way to assess it continues to be on the capabilities and value offered by these services. And I think those remain what they were. And so to the extent that India finds those valuable, I'm not sure that this changes too much.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है, प्रगति जब एक साथ जुड़ते हैं तो एक नए युग की नींव पड़ती है। भारत माता की
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
Namaskar, India. India's Gaganyatri ready to go to space.
As Indian astronaut preps for launch, countdown to Indian history in space. A nation waits with breath held.
Now take a breath and hold.
Our man in an astronaut squad. First step to India's own Gaganyaan. NDTV steps into historic orbit. Naya Bharat to infinity and beyond.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9.
India's cosmic leap.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the All right, turning attention now to the other important voice that we are getting on the show to really decode what is the biggest story that's unfolding around the world, the Musk-Trump fallout and the impact on India. Nisha Biswal, who's a former Assistant Secretary of State, joins me live to decode this in greater detail, to understand from an India point of view, what does this really mean? Nisha, let me start by asking you that is this actually about policy decisions or is this just about ego of the two men?
Well, it's a great question, and I'm sure that it is one that many people are asking exactly what was the genesis here and what will be the outcome. I think it's very hard to predict with these two individuals in particular. Look, I think that the relationship between President Trump and Elon Musk has always been around convergence of shared interests, but those interests are not perfectly aligned. There are areas where President Trump is managing a larger political agenda and a larger political coalition that is not always going to work in the interest of Mr. Musk and his businesses. And I think we have seen some of that play out in terms of the impact on Tesla. The latest tension seems to stem from the Republican budget and tax package, which cut subsidies for electric vehicles, again, further impacting the Tesla value proposition. There have been differences on immigration and particularly H-1Bs, on tariffs, etc. But it is quite remarkable to see the way in which these tensions have erupted in the public domain. I do think that there are efforts being made by the administration to try to tamp down and by other politicians. And it'll be interesting to see if they're able to perhaps get the genie back in the bottle here.
Do you think the Trump spat is indicative of the uncertainty that's actually unfolding in Washington, D.C., and what should be India's response to that?
It's a great question, Gaurie, and I will say that is something that all of America's partners are grappling with. I think India has maintained a fairly steady approach to how it is engaging with the Trump administration on trade in particular, and across the board, and that is to maybe focus on what are the key outcomes that you are trying to achieve. And I think in the instance of U.S. India, that focus has been on achieving some kind of a agreement on tariffs that would allow India to be able to avoid a reinstitution of the reciprocal tariffs when that 90-day suspension ends in July. I think India is well positioned on that and is aggressively engaging on that. Of course, there is uncertainty in the midst of all of that, in that there are new tariffs that are being introduced by the Trump administration, whether it's on this new tariff on steel and aluminum, or whether it's on negotiations that the Trump administration or conversations that they may be having with other countries. And I know that the Indian side will have been paying close attention to the conversation between President Trump and Xi Jinping as well. But by and large, I would say that India has managed the trade negotiations well and is in a attractive position to hopefully be able to announce some kind of a in principle agreement in the coming weeks on tariffs.
Nisha, my last question to you is that Elon Musk actually was some sort of a bridge between India's concerns, particularly around immigration, and Trump administration. With that bridge being affected deeply, how much do you think it will be challenging for India, particularly with regard to H-1B and immigration?
Well, first of all, I would say the bridge is not broken, but perhaps right now there's some instability on that bridge. But India has many, many bridges with the United States, with the Trump administration, with the broader political ecosystem in the United States, as well as the business and economic ecosystem in the United States. And I think India has been, able to activate many of those different bridges from time to time. And now may be a time where India should be very carefully looking at all of the different avenues, not just the front channel G to G, but also looking at the other, the Indian diaspora, the Indian business community. And certainly there are many Indian Americans who have been part of the Trump coalition and the Republican Party in the United States and have influence there. So India has many different bridges, and I think it has shown in the past an ability to activate those bridges and use them strategically to advance the U.S.-India partnership. I would say that we are where we are in the U.S.-India partnership because it has been not just a government-to-government relationship, but it really has been a people-to-people and a business-to-business one as well.
So what is really happening right now? Are there possibilities of some sort of rapprochement between the two leaders, or is it a complete breakdown of communication? My colleague Alistair D'Souza did speak to Politico journalists to understand the dynamics that are at play. Listen into that conversation.
We're joined by Ari Hawkins. He's a reporter with online publication Politico. Ari, Politico has exclusive details, I understand, on a possible truce between two of the world's most powerful men. What is your publication saying? And I also hear that Politico had this interview, one-on-one interview with Trump yesterday as well.
That's right. In an interview with Politico, we saw that Trump was playing down effectively a lot of this sort of back and forth, talking about how things will keep going, it will be okay, making those kinds of statements clearly in a response to this kind of flare-up that we saw. However, one thing to note is that after that story went out there, we've seen more recently this morning that Trump has declined to take a call, or at least has no interest in taking a call at the very moment. with Elon Musk to temper these concerns further. Meaning, while there are efforts on both sides to water some of this down, we saw obviously those remarks from Trump, but also Elon Musk on Twitter engaging with some folks that are trying to sort of find a little bit of a truce here. Despite the fact that we see them sort of signaling that they might want an off-ramp to this, it's pretty clear that this is the type of feud that is going to continue once it's already been set in motion.
Indeed, in many ways that making peace here would be inevitable considering the stakes on both sides. That brings me to my next question here. Ari, what does Musk really stand to lose if he doesn't ensure that things simmer down?
Musk stands to lose his standing within the Republican Party. Musk has already alienated progressives, obviously, but also independents, meaning that this sort of Republican conservative base is his sort of key demographic that he needs to keep a hold of. And we already saw that Republicans in Congress, because of his criticism of this so-called big, beautiful bill, really taking issue with that. It's a thorn in their side. And despite Elon Musk's persistent popularity among some conservatives, this is definitely something that is going to hinder how effective he's able to speak with lawmakers and potentially connect with that conservative base, despite the fact that he is a very online person, which doesn't always necessarily translate directly to electoral politics.
And billions of dollars, of course, at stake for him with all his business interests and contracts with the federal government, which Trump has already threatened to rip apart.
That's right. And we saw another factor come into play here where he said that Trump's trade and tariff agenda would lead to a recession in the near future. And that's something that has been a persistent source of strain in the relationship. We saw Tesla, a very multinational company, is the type of organization that would be very impacted by an expansion of trade and tariffs in particular. And that's something that we're going to see kind of come out. And it seems as if Elon Musk's criticism of his tariff policy in particular has sort of been outweighed recently by some of the other things about the Trump agenda that Musk really likes. But now it seems that that dynamic has flipped.
Viewers, as we wrap this up, there's only one thing that one can say, which is that we haven't heard the last of this saga. This is likely to continue. No one knows where and how and when. But one thing is for certain, there can be no other third party that can actually play mediation between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. They need to do that on their own. Thanks so much for watching this special show.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
These are the visuals that are coming in. Let's go full frame with it.
For every big news story.
You can't defend the indefensible Ruchira Kamboj, but that's what Pakistan has been doing for a very, very long time.
We're sifting through a lot of information. Some is right, some is not right. But I think we are
India tunes in to NDTV.
In fact, on NDTV, like we've been doing for the last few hours, we've been
for fast, clear, and credible news.
We've also been, busting a lot of misinformation that's been coming in.
When I was standing on the road, I saw these lights going off in the sky, and I could hear
where credibility
sounds of like
comes
what sound
first.
like blasts happening.
When Pakistan started shelling and first shell landed here, you can see this.
Well, we have reached at ground zero, and this village is
NDTV. First, fast, factual.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is region of sort in this country.
Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Pakistan defeated Mission Sindoor on.
बहुत अच्छा सपोर्ट मिला है। उन्होंने बहुत स्पष्ट कहा कि हम आतंकवाद का विरोध करते हैं।
India's biggest anti-terror diplomacy.
Everyone had tried at the level best to put forward India's case.
We communicated to them that Pakistan has been nurturing, promoting and nourishing terrorism.
As MP teams return from the mission.
जीरो टॉलरेंस अगेंस्ट टेररिज्म, ये जो मैसेज है ये पूरे दुनिया तक लेके जाए, अलग अलग देशों तक लेके जाए.
Every MP first on NDTV. NDTV first on every Sindoor frontline.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims?
Hello guys and welcome back to the first episode of your favorite gadget show. जी हाँ, आपने बिल्कुल सही गेस किया है because you are watching Gadget 360 with Technical Guruji and this is the show जहाँ पे आपको गैजेट दुनिया की सारी इंफॉर्मेशन एक साथ एक जगह पे मिल जाती है. Everything about the new launches, latest updates, in fact आपके सवालों के जवाब और आपके लिए interesting tech tips. I have got everything in this episode as well. तो guys देखते हैं what's happening in the world of gadgets. Hello everyone, मेरा नाम है गौरव aka TG. You are watching Gadget 360 with me Technical Guruji. तो जल्दी से आगे बढ़ते हैं, चलिए शुरू करते हैं. Guys, before we start, let's just take a quick recap to learn more about the action that has happened in the gadget space पिछले पूरे वीक में in this segment, News of the Week.
OnePlus ने ऑफिशियली अपना नेक्स्ट जेन टैबलेट OnePlus Pad 3 रिवील कर दिया है. Built around the Snapdragon 8 Elite mobile platform, you get two variants of this Wi-Fi only tablet with a 13.2-inch LCD screen, 12GB plus 256GB ROM and 16GB RAM and 512GB ROM. टैबलेट में दो कैमराज हैं, 13 मेगापिक्सल ऑन द बैक एंड 8 मेगापिक्सल ऑन द फ्रंट, वीडियो कॉल्स या सेल्फीज के लिए. Within the 5.97mm thin frame, there is a 12,140 mAh battery that supports up to 80 watts of charging, जिसका Super Whoop power adapter आपको बॉक्स में ही मिल जाता है. Elon Musk का सैटेलाइट इंटरनेट सर्विस Starlink इंडिया लॉन्च के एक कदम और पास आ गया है. They have obtained an approval on a key license and a letter of intent by our Department of Telecommunication. This means regulatory approvals are on the way. Starlink का मिशन है हाई स्पीड इंटरनेट हर जगह पहुंचाना, स्पेशली रिमोट एरियाज में. Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai has confirmed mass hirings in the engineering department through 2026. उन्होंने एलैबोरेट किया कि इवन इन एन एरा ऑफ रैपिड एआई एडवांसमेंट्स एंड ऑटोमेशंस, नए प्रोजेक्ट्स और इनोवेशंस के लिए इंजीनियर्स की जरूरत पड़ेगी, integrating AI not as a human replacement but as a catalyst for enhanced productivity. Truecaller ने अनाउंस किया कि their premium user base globally has crossed the 3 million mark. ये इनके वर्ल्ड वाइड पेड सब्सक्राइबर्स का काउंट है एंड दे से काफी ग्रोथ iOS से आया है, जहां रीसेंट अपडेट्स ने काफी AI